Okay. So you,
Okay.
okay. So I was listening to Elizabeth Gilbert yesterday. Do you know her, right? The
I've
author
heard of
of,
her. I haven't explored
yeah.
any of her stuff yet.
She
But
wrote a book that was turned into a movie, Eat, Love, Pray. It's very well known.
I've heard of
Yeah.
I've heard the title.
I haven't read her book, although it's here. Somebody lent it to me. Actually, Mixie that I'm going to see. That's her birthday today, and I'm meeting her at 12:30
And
for lunch.
she was the one who lent the book to you?
Yes, I
Nice.
haven't read it yet. But I know the story. I think I watched the movie a long time ago. I think it's a movie that was there in end of 90s or maybe
Something like that. I remember hearing about
Anyway,
it.
I was listening to her yesterday about she wrote a couple more books after that, and she said something interesting, and I've never looked at it like that. She was talking about perfectionism.
Okay. Yeah.
And she said, you know what? Perfectionism is just fear disguised. She said,
Yes,
it's fear in high heels. And I love it. You just have to talk about
that's really good. That's a really good description.
It's something that you have in there just to hide from yourself.
Yes.
Your fear of being exposed, revealed, that the false belief that you have that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy. And so it's kind of your antidote of that, of not hearing that, is to try to and be perfectionist. And she said it's a trap too, because you have to work on the fear. You have to let go of the fear. You have to really know that it's there to be able to drop it. But she said perfectionism is your way of coping with the fear. It's your way of hiding it. And it's a way of actually suffering, not really working.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought, oh wow, that's interesting. And I just love it's fear in high heels. And I was like, I need to do some work in that, because I love high heels. And then I think I journaled a little about it today. I think I wrote that, it's good to be aware. I think the most important thing is awareness. And I remember Gabor Mate talking about that. He has something in his book, The 4A. He talks about awareness. He talks about agency, knowing and then deciding to do something about it. And there are two more A's that I don't remember. I can't remember anymore, but it's interesting. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, so I have a question for you regarding perfectionism. What are you stalling on in terms of your perfectionism that you could actually execute and get, let's say, I don't know what kind of grades you use when you're growing up. In the United States, we use just letter grades, A, B, C, D, E, or A, B, C, D, F, right? For your schooling. So what project would you be willing to do if you would be satisfied with like a C+ or a B- on it?
It's interesting. It's interesting, but we talked about an experience of mine. One time, maybe a week ago, we talked about the experience I had. In front of the whole school when I was in 7th grade. And the poetry that I was chosen, and then how I forgot my lines, and and I told you about everything that I built around that. You cannot fail. You have to try harder. It has to be perfect. So I do have a story. So I guess because I am aware of it, I can constantly be observer of my thought and myself and see, am I doing this because I want to perform? Or is just beauty a center of mind? I told you about values and standards I live my life by, and then I love beauty. So the love of beauty itself is not a problem if I'm trying to be beautiful, to have people love me or to prove something to the world, right? It's like in the Bible, it's coming to me, he said, money is not a problem. It's the love of money that is a problem in itself, when it becomes a god. So what things am I willing to do? I would do if I'm willing to, have a C plus.
If you're
I
willing
would
to have a
say
C
that
plus mark, yeah, C
I
plus.
would say that, I like things well done. It doesn't mean that, but I appreciate the effort put in things. So I would say, as most teachers, I don't care about the final grade if you've given your all. Look at the game yesterday on Sunday, the France game. France lost this game, but I feel so good about
they get high marks for their effort.
Oh, I feel so good. For me, I said to someone, it's a beautiful loss. And I said, it's a loss that feels like a gain. I felt amazing because they gave them everything they had, and so at the end they lost. So it's not perfection, it's failure, but I am super happy for them. I love them. I want to congratulate them because they gave their all. So I guess maybe I have that one worked out.
Yeah, I was just thinking in terms of what I when I've done a lot of creative projects, I wanted to get an A, and so that's what actually I give you an example of my doctoral thesis. I spent way more time on that than I probably needed to. Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to have everything exactly perfect. I wanted to have the formatting perfect. I wanted to have the concept perfect. I wanted to have the narrative perfect. I wanted to have it included transcriptions of music. I wanted to have that all perfect. And for what it was, I probably could have expended a quarter of the effort and still received the same marks from my professors.
Yeah,
but I wanted it to be above criticism.
I know. And so that's it's a never-ending quest, the quest for perfection. But I would say though, that's why I think perfectionism probably is not my problem, because I always remember being more interested in finishing. Like I remember when I was writing my essays and stuff, I would be more interested in finishing. Mm-hmm. And then coming back and working out some other parts rather than, focusing on each part to be perfect.
Right.
And I think sometimes it works well for me. Sometimes it doesn't work well. Sometimes I reread something that I post and I see typos and I'm like, see, Sabelle, because you weren't careful enough, but I still am happy because I went to the finish line. And then I'll go back, even the posts I post on Facebook, I edit them a lot afterwards. But I follow my creative, flow, and then I don't stop. Mm-hmm. So I usually have the habit of going to the end, and then I can come back and kind of edit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you heard of? We might have talked about Simone Seol as a coach. And
Simone Seol.
Yeah. Anyway, she has a concept called the garbage post challenge.
Oh.
And you can apply that to anything. It's like, well, what's the secret to creating amazing content in the world? Creating a lot of garbage is the secret. And I would think in terms of like even, well, Handel, we were talking about like Handel's Messiah yesterday. Yeah. That's, he wrote 40 operas before that. He wrote all this music before that, and a lot of it is never played anymore.
Yeah.
So it was just the one thing that he wrote out of all this stuff. And so I think in terms of, his work ethic, he was concerned with getting it done, and he didn't particularly care if this was the A+ work or if this was the C+ work, right?
Yeah. So I honestly think that, I honestly think that, we should, either, because if we're looking for A+, it's the world, it's the people outside of you who judge. But if you feel like you've given your all, you don't care whether it's an A or a D, because that's just, some people will give it an A, some people will give it a D, because somebody said, I can't remember who, that what the point of trying to please people, because, the only person, honestly, you care about is yourself, because other people don't care about you. They just care about themselves too.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't even, going back to my doctoral thesis, I was kind of, you know, so I get this. It's a like 120-page document with all this music and all these examples and everything in it. And when I got the marks back, I got the feeling that most of the people on my committee had skimmed it. They skimmed it, and there were like one or two comments, one or two comments, and you know, my major professor had not looked at all the fingerings. I had not questioned my choices for the transcription. I mean, nothing. They didn't care, because, you know, for them, I was just another in a long line of people who they have to get through. Their committee works, and if it appears like my work is acceptable, then that's perfectly fine.
That's enough. Yeah, that's enough for them. And yeah. I think the most important is that you feel good with what you've produced, right?
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
The most important
I felt more than good with what I produced.
Yeah.
But then there was, again, that disappointment. Is like, well, you know, that probably added 2 years onto me executing that degree.
So if you had to do it again, would you spend more time, or will you do
way less time? Way less time. Way less time.
Okay, so now you know. So it's an experience. So that's I feel like it's never lost, because now you know that you've learned something in all of that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things, but you know, one of the things is, like you were saying, like, people don't really care that much.
You know, one way though, where for me it's important. I launched my membership, and I have a friend who was kind of reading it, and she said, "Oh, it's too long. I won't probably read it all." And she didn't say that. She was a friend that I have sent it to review, and she said, "Do you think that people will have time to finish it? It's too long." And I was sure of something. And I said that to her. I said, you know what? For once, I want this to be for people who are going to read it to the end.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are my people.
If I'm not going to finish it, if the person's not going to finish it, then it's not for them.
It's not for her. Yes.
Right, the person who it's for will finish it.
Exactly.
And maybe read it twice or 3 times.
Or 3 times or 4 times, because it answers to something. Like the books, we talk about it, the things that really have an impact on us, we don't even want them to end. We will go back to them and read them again and again. So that, and I said, for once, this is something that I want. And then I kind of made another, short version that I sent as a second email, with also included the long version too. But I wanted the first version to be the long version, and just to have, because you want to have also the kind of thing it is, the membership it is that I wanted to the people I want inside are the people that I really feel like are, seeing the value of it.
Yes. Yeah.
That it doesn't mean that, somebody who doesn't see the value in it is not good. It's just that it's not for them.
Yeah. You don't want to try to convince the people who are not your people.
I never want to convince anyone about anything, and we already have that conversation. I don't want to convince people. My job, I feel like, is not to convince people. I want to share what I learn and to see people who can relate to it, and for people who will gain something from it.
Yeah.
But when it becomes there is me trying to convince, or them trying to argue, there is a problem. We're not. I feel like we're not aligned anymore.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, just to and you probably pondered this already, but how many different ways could you create something like that to send out to people to explain what you're all about and what your program is all about? How many different ways?
You know what? Since I change every day I have, today I made new discoveries, new learning about myself, and new information yesterday too. So I think I can, change it every day, because every day there is something that is being added, and life is an experience. So I think, as many as I can send out a new thing every day.
Yeah, and send it out if you're sending it out to the people who want to read it, right?
And then you don't know, because that's judgment too. So sometimes the people that we think are the one that it is suited for are not the people. Sometimes you don't know. So that's why
Sure.
you just need to be
Yeah.
out there.
Just be open.
And
Yeah.
exactly, because we don't know. It's like all of the books that are out there, or all of the movies, and all of the, you don't know until you experience it. So I'm all about experience. I'm all about
So we'll bring this circular back because we're at time, but like Eat, Pray, Love.
eat, pray, love. It's about the experience. It's about the experience. Yes.
Yeah,
So
circle
yeah.
back to that one. Do you think your friends can be disappointed that you haven't read it yet, or if?
Oh no, I know about it. We discuss it, and I know the message. And I still, she has it in her library, and I'm like, okay, I want to read it again, or
Yeah,
read it for the first time. I don't know, but I know, like when I was listening to Elizabeth Gilbert yesterday, those were things that I didn't know. So I'm not sure I read it, but I've heard so much about it that I feel like I'm familiar with it.
yeah,
But I would love to sit, also not assume, and just read her go in her mind and then
yeah,
see what she has written.
yeah,
So that's why
yeah,
I borrowed the
yeah.
book.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, well, let's cut this before, because we
Let's
could
see
talk
you
for another.
tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you soon. All right. Yes. Well,